Hello, and welcome to a CX Moment. I'm Sarah Reed from Zendesk, and in these candid conversations, we chat with leaders about what's happening with their business, their support centers, and with their customer experience. We love taking questions during a CX Moment, so please drop them into the Q&A. And if you like what we're chatting about, please share it on social using hashtag CX Moment. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by the CMO of Trustpilot, Alicia Skubick. And chances are great that all of you have reviewed a company that you've done business with at some point, and chances are even greater that you've read and trusted a review from a stranger. 88% of us trust online reviews as much as we do advice from people we know. What does that say about the people we have in our circles? But as a company, what can reviews do for you and how should you use them? Well, one place is in identifying improvement areas in your org and how you can prioritize them. So let's find out what you all are challenged with right now. You're going to see a poll pop up on the right-hand side of your screen, and we'd like to know, what's the biggest challenge that you're facing right now when it comes to customer experience? And I did see a question about what's CX, and that's what CX means. It is customer experience. So, what is going on with you right now? We'll leave that open for just a second. All right, how we doing on responses? All right, well, let's bring Alicia up on stage. And it looks like, greater customer expectations and disjointed technology. Doesn't sound like too much of a surprise, but let's see what reviews can do for us in fixing some of those greater customer expectations. All right, Alicia, good to see you.
Great to see you. Great to be here. Thank you.
Well, you were actually a Trustpilot customer before you recently joined them as a CMO. What was it about Trustpilot that made you think, I want to go from being a customer and I want to be part of this mission?
Well, yeah, thank you. I was a Trustpilot customer for about 9 years before I joined. Firstly, it's a purpose-led company. So the idea of really creating a world where people and businesses trust each other, and we're helping them with that mission to become that kind of most trusted kind of platform was inspiring to me. And I've seen firsthand the difference it can make when you really are listening to your customers, what it makes to your bottom line, but also that experience that you create for your customers. It adds so much value.
So why I so get getting feedback from customers, but for many people, they're already getting that feedback from CSAT surveys, for example. So why reviews? If you're already collecting feedback elsewhere, what are reviews going to tell me that's potentially different?
Well, reviews are what people say about you when you're not in the room. And so
Oh,
this is nothing that necessarily, you get reviews that are prompted and you will send requests for reviews. And sometimes people will organically review you. And managing that and really understanding what people are saying. And when I say manage, it's really just responding to the feedback and really getting a really good view of your entire customer base and how they're feeling about you. It's so important. And it really helps you to understand the health of your business and the health of your customers. We think that healthy business means happy customers. And so if you are able to see that review feedback in real time, it can transform your business.
and you actually have a measurement within Trustpilot, right? Where it's a metric that you would suggest companies line up against their customer satisfaction or against their NPS. What is that metric and how do I use it?
It's the trust score. So we, like every other business, are measured in the same way. So we're reviews on a regular basis, daily, across the business. All of the executives receive those reviews in their inbox. And so we get customers, and that's consumers and businesses rate and review us. And so it's the trust score that everyone else has. And we look at that as a measure for our business to understand where we need to be better, and where we can improve our service.
So you are actually as Trustpilot, you are utilizing your own technology to get feedback from your customers and push that upward in your organization. Is that what I hear?
That's right. I mean, that we have to, right? We need to live the truth that we ask our customers to, and it helps us to be better business for them.
And do you publish your own
We do. It's
trust
live on our
score?
site. Yes. Yep. Updated
So
in real
that
time. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love it. So that best practice is actually something that you are walking the walk, is
That's
what I
right.
hear. Uh, so we have a question that's coming in from Anne that I think is really interesting, and it's given the level of customer expectations, is there a is there a voice that is more effective in explaining how and why we did not meet those expectations? For example, missing a shipping promise, for example. So, what is that voice when I haven't? What should I be using when I haven't really met those expectations? Like, how do I
I think,
respond?
yeah, it's a great question. And I think it's about humility. It's about being quick in your responses and making sure that you do that and resolve it quickly. Um, and take it seriously. Don't argue with them, but thank them for the feedback. And look for ways to resolve it. There's nothing worse than getting a thank you very much and that's it. And you think, gosh, like that was really, it impacted my life, or I needed this thing and you didn't deliver it. So think about how you can resolve it and come to a meaningful conclusion to that. So if a shipping was delayed, for example, offer a credit or a refund as a show of good faith. Once you're getting more reviews, you can really dive into the trends and learn about the gaps. But I think really being transparent, humble, and looking to resolve that issue is really important and helps with that customer experience.
And so that is phenomenal advice on how to actually handle negative reviews. Now, do you believe that reviews should be handled publicly, or are they taken offline into another channel? Because essentially a review is a channel, right?
That's right. That's right. And it is so tempting to delete a negative review. And that is absolutely the wrong approach, in our opinion. We've done research that shows us that you can actually make this an advantage point. A company that has 100% positive reviews, it doesn't feel true. Nobody's perfect all of the time. And so if you're deleting those reviews in whatever channel that you're using, it's inauthentic. In the research that we did, we looked at what makes a trusted brand for our customers. And 95% said the best way to lose trust is to delete the negative reviews. I mean, if you've taken the time to write a review, you want to be heard. But 80% said it builds trust when they see a brand responding to the negative reviews. And so the bad reviews, if we look at them as an opportunity to really kind of build that trust with an audience and of customers, it can be very powerful for your business.
It can be very scary, though, as well, I would imagine, for companies who haven't been that transparent with their customers, with their audience in the past. So, how do you convince them that they need to walk that journey with their customers?
I think it's a great question, and I think my advice is somewhat counterintuitive, but inviting every single customer that you have. You don't have the control because you are being reviewed regardless of whether you like it or not. And so really getting around that insight and that feedback to build a healthy business, to create those amazing customer experiences, it can be daunting. But what we find is um, in general, trust scores trend upwards the more customers are invited to review. And so it's a balanced view of your business, and it's really important. And I think one of the questions and where you're getting at is how do you get that buy-in internally? How do you get execs to sort of agree and buy into that? And it really goes back to that point. If you're afraid of what you're going to see, there's probably some fundamentals that you want to be addressing, and this can help you to do that. And those conversations are happening whether you're in the conversation or not. And so being a part of it and being a positive voice to resolve those issues. And if there's root issues, it helps you to fix them internally. So what we've found, in terms of getting consensus is we have so many case studies on our website of companies that have been able to get that exec buy-in, where execs are shouting about their reviews and positively enforcing that internally. And so I think, thinking about the companies that have done it well and how they've done it and what they've done can really be powerful as you're trying to build that exec case. But ultimately, it's the health of the business.
So you're hitting something that's imperative here, is that people are talking about you whether or not you
Yeah.
are in the room.
Yeah.
And so utilizing reviews and making sure that they're public on your site and giving people that outlet is actually one mechanism of controlling not the conversation, but controlling where those conversations are happening, because it's way harder for you to respond to things that are happening elsewhere, out on the internet, right? But if people are reviewing you within your own website or within Trustpilot, you can actually do something about it, which is really the whole point of feedback.
That's right. And you can build it into your workflows, especially with Zendesk, right? And get that operationalized across your teams, so that you're really getting that kind of process clear with your customer service teams on how you address and you manage these. For certain, you can manage reviews on other channels as well. The key is making sure that you're responding quickly, you're doing it in the right way, and that you're pulling that data in, you're integrating it so that you can really see the trends. Like, what are the issues and the root causes that we can address as a business and resolve?
We are getting some questions about positive reviews, which I'm an eternal optimist, so I love the fact that people are going the positive direction here. Christina's question is, what's the best way to respond to positive reviews and not having repetitive answers?
That's a great question. And I think it's about, depending on the size and scale of your business, thinking about the number of people you have who are managing the responses and reading the review, and taking that detail and then, using that as part of your response to make it personalized. It doesn't take very long to read the review and get a sense of like what it was that you did, and respond accordingly. So we would always recommend that they take that time to really make it special and personalized, just that little bit.
And who is responding to the reviews within Trustpilot, for example? Like who manages that?
We have a customer service team, we would recommend to any organization who respond and review those reviews and make sure that we're resolving any issues as quickly as possible.
And then I would expect that they're taking all that phenomenal feedback that they're that they're hearing, good or bad for that matter, and moving it through the organization so that something can be done.
Absolutely, it's core in our DNA.
Maria also has a question about positive reviews. And I love this because let's face it, people are way more apt in this day and age to post negative reviews or negative comments. But how do you solicit positive reviews? Do you make a concerted effort or do you allow that to happen naturally?
So at Trustpilot, we don't allow that to happen. We aren't fans of being able to cherry pick reviews. To be a platform of trust, it's fundamental that it is a unbiased view. So you are not just going after happy customers, but you're going after all the customers to make sure that the people reading the reviews get an honest picture. But what we've seen is when you invite all of your customers to review, you do get the positive reviews as well. What we've learned when we talk to consumers is, they want to help. They want to help other consumers, good or bad experiences, to guidepost them to help either avoid those experiences or take part and like work with the businesses that they love. And then also, they want to also help the businesses that they love. And so you see that come through in the reviews. And I think there is a perception that it's only negative, but absolutely that's not been carried through in the data that we see. It's the more you invite and broadly invite, the more balanced picture you see, good and bad.
And so, what I hear from that is the more your organization is interacting with those reviews and responding to them,
That's
the
right.
more apt people are to continue to put reviews. And that includes the positive ones as well.
That's right.
We all want our voice to be heard, right?
Yep.
It's
The
it's
universal
always
truth.
so frustrating when you take the time to write something, wonderful about a company that you love, and it just never gets any attention.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, All right. So, do you ever another best practice question for you because I think this one is fantastic. Do you have to incentivize reviews like you do with surveys, for example, or is this again just a natural part of how we want to share and help?
This is a natural part of the operating rhythm of your business. And so by incentivizing, you create unintended consequences. And so we don't believe in incentivizing to get those reviews. I think when you're doing customer surveys and deep interviews where you're asking somebody to take time out of their day, there's a different dynamic there. But when you're talking about these customer reviews, we don't, that's not part of our practices or recommendations.
And Anne is curious, do you allow changes to reviews? So once if I'm a customer and I've written something about not getting a problem resolved, but then my problem does get resolved, do I get to change it and put something positive up there?
That's a good question. You can go back and edit and come back with feedback positively or negative, depending on how your review has been resolved. You're able to update that. We don't allow reviews to be changed in the sense that if there's a negative review, we don't remove that because it's been asked by the business to do so, unless there's been a breach of our ethics and standards.
You've mentioned a couple of companies that do this very, very well. And one of them was Lens Direct when we were chatting. And they're a company that I'm so impressed with how they've achieved executive buy in. Can you walk us through what they're doing and the impact that reviews are making on their org?
Yeah, it's really exciting to like watch their journey. I think number one, they've got complete buy-in from the top. So their CEO is a huge, huge champion of this. They use the reviews in their CS team to really learn. It's firstly they're integrated with Zendesk, which is key. They've got this incredible exec buy-in. It filters through across the whole organization. The CS team like, use those reviews to really understand like what's working and what's not, and resolve issues. Not just the issues in the immediate symptom, but the root causes that are causing these if they see trends. As I mentioned, their CEO is really bought in. He shouts out the reviews that comment on great service and even offers, rewards to reps who do a great job of responding, not to getting reviews, but to responding. And he really extends this commitment to customers across the entire company, and that's inspirational to know that you're doing, this great job for your customers, and that everyone's bought into creating these delightful experiences.
So it sounds like this could be one of those stories that if I am not getting what I need from my executives and I'm not getting the buy-in from them, that I can say, "Hey, here's a beautiful example of an organization that is walking the walk and talking the talk."
That's
Uh,
right.
so case study, Lens Direct on how to properly use reviews. Um, so, what else are some best in class organizations doing? Do you have any examples of what their business maybe was like pre Trustpilot and what the impact of Trustpilot has been for them?
Yeah, so another great example is Kaplan International. I'm sure many of you know them as like the language school, very famous in terms of like how they've built their business around the world. But they know, and they've always taken very seriously their reviews, and they know that it's a big decision purchase for people, and so they will be evaluating as part of that journey. And so, they really, really looked at how they could create this amazing experience, and how this would improve the buying experience for their users. They created a feedback loop with their customers because they knew it would boost both the customer satisfaction, but also create that feedback that helped to create, the social proof marketing. So they really looked at how do we take this feedback, how do we turn that into a feedback loop, and then how do we take that and then promote it more to help build our business. So again, a really good case study in terms of a business case and how they've done it. When you think about the results that they've seen a 250% increase in their customer satisfaction score from 20 to 70 since joining Trustpilot. They've increased their customer review collection by 70%, and they've increased their score with over 1,000 reviews. They've seen like concrete business results through doing that. And so not only do they have happy customers, but they've got a stronger business model as a result.
And I how do they then take that phenomenal data, that great information? Do they how are they expressing that back out to their customers? Meaning, like, how are they sharing like all of this great, information that
Yeah.
you just shared with us?
That's a great question. And so they really make this a part of their go to market. So we have toolkits in our platform for businesses to really how like best practice on how do you take great reviews and promote this as part of your like go to market activity. And so a couple examples of what they do, they use this like kind of third party validation and trust across their websites. They use it in all of their assets. They use both the Trustpilot logo, but also the stars, the quotes from their customers. They use it in their Instagram stories. So they use examples of specific customers and the impact it's had on their lives and the ratings that they gave it. They include it on their website. They have it in their CRM and site footers and the Trustpilot claims. And so for them, they're really looking at best practice across their sort of end-to-end marketing activity and making these reviews a part of it.
Do you ever have organizations who actually replace their CSAT surveys? I mean, I feel a bit like, is there a redundancy here? Instead of forcing these surveys out to people, am I better off getting this great proactive feedback?
Yeah, it's a great question. I don't have a case study for that. I've been in the Trustpilot organization for just a little under 3 months. And so I don't have that at the ready in terms of specific customers in which they've done that. But for sure, customers of ours are using this in place of CSAT, in businesses because it's a logical conclusion.
So recognizing that you have only been in this role for 3 months and you've already provided us with so much great information, you may not have the answer to this, but I'm gonna ask it anyway
Go
from
for it.
Kayla, and it's about headcount ratio. Is there like, how do you determine how many agents you need to respond to reviews? Is there a headcount ratio to the number of reviews, to the number of people you need?
That's a great question, and I would think about the volume of the and I don't have the concrete answer for it, but if you break it down into sort of the size of your business, the number of customers, and the number of reviews that you're sending, you can start to get a sense of how many agents do I need to really sort of do this effectively in real time and do it. Um, I don't have a formula that I can share with you, just given my tenure in the business. But I think as you're looking at the model, looking at the scope and the size and the number of reviews that you're sending, is a good place to start.
So again, treat it like another channel. And,
Absolutely, that's right.
as you're doing your workforce planning around all of your other channels, build in reviews into that. And there are some,
100%.
there are certainly some low calorie ways to figure that out. It's like, how long does it take to respond to an average review? How many reviews do you have coming in? What percentage of reviews do you actually want to be responding to? Which is another great question. Do you recommend that every review get a comment from the company, or is it only a certain percentage or certain type?
It really depends on the company. I would recommend that you respond to all negative reviews, but also at the same time, your happy customers, they want that engagement too and that validation. You talked about that yourself. You've taken the time to comment. You want to be heard. You want to be seen. And it's an engaged business that responds to every customer. So my recommendation would be really ensuring that all negative reviews, and then when you think about the positives, think about the amplification of those people, how many people they speak to about your brand, and building that kind of community of your customers. So the recommendation is, if you can get to 100%, then that's best in class.
That is an extraordinary metric that we should all be looking at. 100% best in class. Shane has a question about growth, and it's run in the startup environment. And I'm going to generalize this a little bit, but can reviews and the processes that you just talked about, can that help a startup with their growth? Or is Trustpilot better for companies that are more established?
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge opportunity for startups, especially if you think about a challenger brand, which often a startup is. You're either a category disruptor, so you're coming in there, you've got your incumbents, and you're trying to like gain market share with a new and inventive product that disrupts them, or it's a totally new category and people don't quite get it or understand what it is. Either way, people don't know who you are or whether they should trust you. And these reviews help to give that like that trust, that third party validation. So, you know, established brands, this is how they continue to keep their experiences strong and their brand strong. But for a challenger brand, likewise, as you learn and you're understanding better how your product is serving your customers, this is a great way to do it. But also, as you're able to take that to market and prove the trust that you're able to build with those customers, there's no better way to build growth with new customers as well.
And again, showing that trust with your customers that you are actually willing to engage with them. Uh, which leads me to one additional question around this, and that is, do you find that reviews in a public scenario are a better outlet than social media commentary? Because they're both a one to many.
That's right. That's right. For us, we're trying to become that and be that platform of trust where it's a neutral space where businesses and companies can come together and help each other. And so by doing that, you can research, any company that you've used and know that you've got an engaged business that's looking to make better experiences for those customers. So, it's a channel. There are many channels, but when you think about trust, when you think about the processes that we put in place to really ensure that trust and to be that neutral place where, creating these communities, Trustpilot plays a huge part in being able to build trust with your community, your customers, and your audiences.
So what's next? What's next in with Trustpilot? Like, what should we be looking for as our evolution of this great channel?
That's a great question. And so, one of the areas I'm most excited about is the tools that we're continually building to help businesses really better understand their customers and their audiences. And so, you can look forward to many more enhancements in that space to really build out that customer experience.
Well, I want to thank you so very much because that is it for today. A big thank you to Alicia for sharing your expertise and iterating how important reviews are. I love this entire conversation around trust because it's something that unfortunately it feels like we're oftentimes lacking in our relationships with the companies that we work with. And this is it's beautiful to talk about how to make that connection even tighter. And I want to say thank you to everyone for sharing a moment with us. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Please rate your experience on today's session. Be sure to respond to the poll, and we'll choose actually 10 random respondents who are going to win a $5 Starbucks gift card because we could all use a little caffeine this time of year. So please join us again in the new year when we talk with Jared Lohman from Kajabi on January 27th, which will be our next CX moment. And in the meantime, happy holidays to everyone. And please be safe, be helpful, and we'll chat again soon. Thank you. And thank you again, Alicia.
Thank you so much. Bye.